Welcome to the Godfather Chronicles podcast. My name is Miguel Garcia and I am your host. Hello, my friends. I hope you are doing great. This is a very exciting topic for me. I've coached a lot of people about this topics that I'm going to talk about. But before we do that, I want you to please, if you find value on the podcast, share it with friends, with family. Give me a follow on Instagram at MAG Facebook Miguel Godfather. If you have any questions and issues, just email me at miguel@godfatherchronicles.com or DM me in Instagram. So today we're going to talk about a very common problem that most people have. And I had it. I still deal with it, but I built some triggers to combat these particular issues. So we're going to talk about how to deal with fear. Fear causes stress and anxiety, so it kind of melts into a hodgepodge of crazy feelings. And some of these feelings paralyze people. Some of these feelings cause people to want to take their lives. Some of these feelings cause people paralyzing fear. They can't move forward. They can't get out of a rut. So we're going to talk about this today. I hope you find a lot of benefit out of this. So I'm going to talk to you about several things. Again, that brings us down. They're all connected. Again, fear brings negativity, anxiety, distrust, doubt, and again, sometimes paralyzing fear. The kind of fear that makes people want to stop living. And I know several folks that have talked to me about their fears and their depression. And a lot of them, I think 90% of those people that I talk to, they contemplated taking their lives. So let's just break it down. What is fear? I had the pleasure of attending the Artist Syndicate Summit, and it was Bedros Kouliani, I think, that had this particular talk about fear. And what struck me was that the way he broke it down was very very tactical, and it was an eye-opener for me. It really blew my mind. Such a simple concept. When somebody breaks it down for you, it's just amazing, and you get to understand it, right? So what is fear? Fear is part memory and part imagination. And so it comes from your mind. And it comes when something pops into your mind, either you are remembering, so it comes from your past, or you're thinking about something that might happen in the future. So notice this: the past and the future, right? So if you bring memories from your past, the past does not exist anymore. There's nothing you can do to change the past. No matter how hard you try, you cannot change the past. It doesn't exist anymore. And so what happens, we bring these feelings from the past, these feelings of hurt, of abuse, of inadequacies, and you bring them into the present, and it affects your present. It affects you now. So think about this. It's like you bring a bag of memories from the past and you put them in your doorstep in front of you, and then you open it up like it was a freaking gift. And then you look at them again and you dwell on them. But the thing is, they don't exist. That's the thing. It doesn't exist and there's nothing you can do. So think about that for a little bit, because it is very important for you to realize that you're resuscitating something that is dead, that has been dead for a long time. You're trying to give it CPR. You want to relieve those ugly moments for some reason. It's the same thing with the future. Um, the future brings anxiety because you start playing all the what if scenarios. What if this happens? What if I, want to go on on a journey and this happens? What if I want to start a business and I go bankrupt? What if this? What if that? And notice that nothing has happened. It's all in your mind. But you're bringing it to your present. And it's causing you stress and anxiety. Again, the past doesn't exist. The future doesn't exist. So we need to live in the present, because we are focusing on things that do not exist. You got to replay this part, because for me, even though I've been around the block many, many, many times, the way it was delivered, I mean, it hit home, and I'm like, damn, man, that's so true. So every time something, when I get into that mood, like the morose mood, the dark mood, and you start getting depressed, you got to analyze where all that stuff comes from. And most of the stuff is from the past. Yeah, people like to relive the past, especially in their failures. They have abuse, they relive their mistakes, and they bring them into the present. And that way they can justify their mediocrity. It's like a crutch. They're like, oh, well, I have an excuse to be the way I am because I was abused. I was betrayed. They like to play the victim card. It brings them pity and attention. And they're hooked on these feelings. They're hooked on the attention, of the pity, of the, oh, look at him, poor him. Yeah, he suffered a lot. He did this, and this happened to him, or whatever. They're hooked on those feelings. If you're one of those folks, you need to own it. You need to own it and go, you know what? That's me. I am going to change. I coach several folks about this topic, and it's almost the same story all the time. They had an abusive parent, they were betrayed, somebody cheated on them, they had a traumatic experience, they lost a loved one, and so they justify their fear and anxiety or depression based on events that don't exist anymore. And above all, they have no way of changing any of them because they're no longer in the present. So what I recommend to them is to forgive and forget. Yeah, it sounds easy, right? But you have to do the exercise in which you close your eyes, you connect with yourself, you connect with God, and start forgiving the folks that hurt you and close that chapter. Bring closure to that hurt. The reason, in my opinion, why people relive those moments over and over and over is because they never had closure. So it is up to you to bring closure to that. So, when you're laying in bed, think about those hurts for the last time and bring closure to them. Forgive the people that hurt you, or forgive yourself if you hurt somebody. That's forgiveness. And bring closure. And never bring him back up. Bury him 30 feet deep. Don't let him come out again, ever. It's easier said than done. But look at the reward. If you're able to bring closure to that issue and never bring it back up, you're going to have a better life. The crazy thing about us bringing fear, anxiety, depression, or whatever to ourselves is that if we have a family, they see us. They see us, quote unquote, suffering. Again, it's like a pity party for us. I'm not trying to put anybody down that has, a biochemical issue, with their body and all sorts of things. Everybody's different. I'm talking to the guys or to the gals, whatever, that play that card. They play the victim card. You know who you are. You know if you're doing it. If you have, I don't know, some mental issue or whatever, then, seek help. But there's a lot of folks, in my opinion, that play the victim card. They like to live there. And I'm talking to you guys. So please don't DM me and go, hey, you don't understand about depression. You don't understand about that. I'm not talking about the legit stuff. And I'm talking about people playing the victim card. All right. So we're clear on that. So our family is looking at us. I had a person who was telling me about he would go into depression like once a month. So it was like his period. He knew when it was coming. He felt it, and then he just let go. And that fear, that depression, all those negative thoughts just consumed the hell out of him. And it was days that, locked up in his room while his wife and children would look at him and go, damn, man, daddy's really sick or whatever. And, I said to him, dude, when it's coming. Okay, prepare for it. Start thinking positive thoughts. Go work out. Again, I think I mentioned this before. The Catholic Church teaches that when you're going into a morose mode, to a depressive mood, it comes from the devil. And you have to do the opposite. So if you don't want to get out of bed, get out of bed. If you don't want to exercise, go exercise. If you don't want to go to work, go to work. And do the opposite. Because if you don't do that, then the devil wins. Because the devil is the one bringing that deep sadness, the fear, the anxiety. God doesn't give you that. So you have to recognize where it's coming from. And fight it. Yeah, it sounds easier than it's easier said than done, but it has to be done. It has to be done. Otherwise, you're going to be miserable. You're bringing a lot of misery to the people that love you. Okay, this is a vicious cycle. So, start. You got to understand the fear is natural. There's no courage without fear. So fear is meant to be defeated, and that's how you gain courage. So be courageous, my friend. Face your demons. Again, look at the situation that it's bringing this type of feelings. And if you haven't had closure, go there. Relive it for the last time. Bring closure to it, and again, bury it. That's what you need to do. That's the best way to do it. That's the only way to deal with fear. You got to face it. Avoiding our fears only prevents us from moving forward. If you want to move forward, you got to face that fear. When negative memories come back to your mind, get them off as soon as possible. Do not dwell on them. Do not let them contaminate your mind, your mood, and rob you of your peace. How do you combat that? Well, you're supposed to remember what you've done right. Like if you go into a place where you're going, oh man, I've been an idiot. I did drugs. I did this. I did that. I robbed, steal, cheated, whatever. I was abused. My dad was a drug addict, and I was hurt, and all sorts of things. Instead of focusing on all those negative thoughts, start thinking about your victories. We all have victories. And start counting on them. Think about the times you succeeded, the times you overcame temptation, the times that God blessed you with a gift, with something, with your wife, remember the birth of your child, remember when you bought your first home, remember when you got that promotion, remember when you win that first place trophy or whatever. But you have to start bringing in positive thoughts into your mind. You have to flood your mind with positive thoughts. You got to count your blessing, relive your victories, develop a habit of remembering the good. So again, develop a habit of remembering the good. So it's like a trigger. So bad thought is coming in, fear is trying to set in. Go, okay, I recognize this. I'm going to start remembering the good stuff. I'm going to praise God. Again, relive your victories. You got to remember that God is with us. If you say, well, I don't have any victories or whatever, okay, fine. You're the child of God. God made you perfect. You are unique. There has never been a person like you. And there will never be after you. And you have proof of that on your fingerprints. Can you imagine? There's billions and billions and billions of people, and none of us have the same fingerprints. That's because we are unique. That's what God made each one of us unique. It's amazing that we don't have duplicate of ours. So, start thinking about the goodness of God and what He's done for you. Again, the mistake that we make too often is that we remember what we should be forgetting. Now think about that. We remember what we should be forgetting. We remember our hurts, our failures, our disappointments, and we forget what we should be remembering. Our victories, our accomplishment, the goodness of God. So it's just a matter of switching your state of mind. Switches from being negative to being positive. And I know it's hard, man. I've had my times too where I go kind of dark. But I understand. I understand the process of going dark because I could feel it. And I make a very conscious effort to get out of that. I fight it. I don't let myself slide down to the pit. I fight it. And sometimes there's times where I wake up in the mornings and I don't want to go to church. I try to go to church every day. Just so you guys know. I got to take care of God. He takes care of me, and He's my Father, and I want to go see my Father. There's some times that I'm like, I don't want to go. I don't feel like going. Then I go, I recognize that. I'm going to start on the wrong foot. I'm going to, I'm dwelling on some negative things. I'm dwelling on anxiety. I'm dwelling on fear. And so I begin to get paralyzed, and I just want to stay in bed. And I do what I tell you to do. Get off bed. go take a shower. For me, help my wife with the kids and all sorts of things, and then go to church. There's times that I go to church and I go, God, you know that I don't want to be here. I don't feel like being at Mass this morning. But I am here because you love me. I'm here because I know you love me. I know that you could help me. I know that you could change my life in a second. You can accelerate my success because you're God. And so I start switching my mood little by little by saying positive things. And this is not fluff, man. This is stuff that works. I count my blessings. I count the blessings that my Lord gave me. My wife, very beautiful woman. She's really enriched my life. And I look at her sometimes and I'm going, wow, man, I really don't deserve her, but thank you, Lord. That's a great gift. My children, the businesses that I built, the businesses that I sold. I remember, when my wife almost died and giving birth to one of my children, actually 11 years ago. And instead of remembering that she almost died, I remember that God saved her. That's what I remember. I remember how wonderful it was for me to see her open her eyes after 48 hours in a coma. That's what I remember. I remember seeing her beautiful brown eyes and going, thank you, Lord. Thank you for letting me keep my wife. So again, my friends, stay positive. All the stress and fear and anxiety, they're all self-induced. It's all in our mind. You might go, yeah, but I lived this. Yes, you did. Yes, you had a rough upbringing. You had whatever, but it's gone. There's nothing you can do. I remember when I was back in Chicago, back in the 80s, I went to a seminar, and there was this really overweight young lady. And it was one of the first self-improvement seminars that I've ever went to. And the moderator, asked if anybody had a question. So this really obese young lady got up and she started crying. And he's like, what's wrong? And she goes, well, I was abused when I was little and this and that. And my stepfather did this to me. And then my stepbrother did this to me and all sorts of things. And he's like, how old were you? And she goes, I was 9. And he's like, oh, wow. How old are you now? 32. He's like, okay, so that's in the past. That was a long, long, long time ago. And she's like, yeah, well, that's why I'm fat. And, the moderator or the speaker looked at her and she goes, no, he's not. And I thought it was kind of cruel, but I could see where he was going with this. And she's like, yes, it is. I get stressed and I overeat because of that. And he's like, no, you just have a bad habit. You can't control these feelings and you choose to eat. You being overweight and linking it to your abuse really doesn't have anything to do with it. You just like to overeat. You like to eat a lot. And anyway, I thought it was kind of cruel, but it dawned on me that he was like, yeah, that happened. So what? It's gone. It's done. And she kept like, no, but it hurts. And he's like, why does it hurt? Because you bring back those memories. You give him life again. That's why it hurts again. Don't do that. But yes, it happened to me. It's like, yes, it did. It happened. That's the past. It's gone. There's nothing you could do. Come on, And it was like 20 minutes of this back and forth. And honestly, I don't think she got it. I think a lot of us were going like, okay, yeah, that makes sense. I mean, it's kind of cruel that he's telling her that she's overweight because she likes to eat, because she's not no longer being abused or anything like that. And so you got to focus on the reality. You got to focus on the present. In other words, stop living in the past, stop living in the future, and live the present. That's what I got to give you, my friends. This is this was a kind of a tough subject, because there's so many issues out there with people, and there's some people are legitimately sick. And people that have depression, they're some people it's a medical issue. It's not a mindset issue. But again, this podcast is for you guys that have the mind issue. So stop talking about defeat and fear and the past and the abuse and the hurt. Stop freaking resuscitating those things. Instead, talk about victory. Talk about your accomplishments. Talk about what God has done for you. Speak words of victory and words of encouragement. And lastly, please look at your family. Don't hurt them. Don't repeat that cycle. Be a beacon of hope for your family. Be a great example of courage for your family. Don't play the victim card. Your family needs to know that you got them. Your family needs to know that there's a strong dad or mom there, that they could handle anything. So do not speak words of defeat, of fear, anxiety, and focus on the positive. I hope you listen to this at least a couple more times if you really need to. If not, reach out to me. Again, you guys could follow me on Instagram and get my messages at MAGPatriot, or email me at Miguel@GodfatherChronicles.com, or you could also go to Facebook and shoot me a message. Before I leave you, I want to leave you with a psalm. That the Bible has a lot of great references about fear and darkness and all sorts of things. And if you need inspiration, just Google it. Google Psalms about fear or something like that, and put them on your phone. Read them when you're feeling dark and morose, and again, do something about it. Build the triggers that are going to help you snap out of that darkness or fear or whatever it is. So I want to leave you with Psalm 23:4. Even though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for you are with me. Your rod and your staff, they comfort me. It's another great Psalm 27:1. The Lord is my light and my salvation. Whom shall I fear? The Lord is the stronghold of my life. Of whom shall I be afraid? These are very comforting Psalms. You need to put them on your phone, put them on a reminder, and you should be going to reading this whenever you feel like you're sliding into darkness or slipping into darkness. Anyway, my friends, thank you very much for listening to the podcast. Again, if you got some value, share it with your family, your friends, and if you have any questions, DM me. Thank you. Take care, and God bless.